You still got Austin Matthews, who's the best player in the league right now. So I'm going to go with the Leafs.
Yeah. You know what? Oh my gosh, this is going to be a really tough matchup. I will say that. And it's going to feel like a playoff game for sure, because this could be a potential round one that we see. Thank God it's not Boston. I mean, please God, not be Boston, please. Just putting that out there. But I'm going to stick with the homer as well. I'm going to go ahead and say Toronto is going to take this game. Interesting stat, though. So Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner, they'll be facing Andrei Vasilevsky, obviously, and he owns a .923 save percentage against the duo, which that's quite shocking because they're such talented players. But I believe they're going to get a couple past the netminder tonight, and they're going to come out on strong. Plus, Tampa's been playing weaker teams, and now they're coming to play a game tonight with more of a solid team like the Toronto Maple Leafs. So I'm still sticking with Toronto in this one. I like how they've been playing lately, and they're going to take the win. So I'm taking them plus 1.5 because, like you said, they're not the favorite tonight. Yeah.
I don't know how you can take the Leafs tonight as an underdog. You're getting great value, plus 1.5. I would even go as far as saying take them on the money line. So I'm going to throw some stats right here. I have the Maple Leafs tonight as well. They're 5-1 in their last 6 games against a team with a winning record.
Yep.
The Lightning are 1-7 in their last 8 games against a team with a winning percentage of better than .600. And then the final stat I got here, road teams in this matchup are 6-2 in their last 8. So how can you not take the Leafs with those numbers backing you up? Give me the Leafs tonight as well. Puck line, money line, send it to the bank.
We want to be rich. We want to be rich.
Okay, and then in closing here, I got to get your Stanley Cup predictions. Noor, do you have another hot take for us? Who's going to meet in the Stanley Cup final, and who's your Stanley Cup winner?
Say the Montreal Canadiens. No, I'm kidding. Don't say that. Don't say that. That was a joke. That was a joke.
Like you don't want to be joked.
Don't say the Montreal Canadiens. They're at the bottom of the standings. They're not making it in. That was a joke.
She's
Sorry,
setting me up, you guys. She's setting me up. I gotta be a homer.
Yeah.
Even though they might not win it, if they do win it, I will celebrate like the Raptors have won. So I gotta go with a feel-good story. The Leafs.
Oh my gosh, she's doing the Leafs. I can't believe this.
Every
to
time,
end the drought.
Every time someone says the Leafs are going to win, they never end up winning. So I think we just never can ever say that.
Abolish that answer.
Never, ever say that. They're cursed. They're cursed. But no, I would love to say the Leafs, Noor. I would honestly, I would love, but I'm going to go ahead and stick with my Florida girl in me and say the Florida Panthers. They are a solid team this year. There's so much depth within them. They have Barkov. They have new addition, Claude Giroux. Then there's Reinhart, Bennett, Ekblad, who's been unstoppable, Ben Sherratt, another new addition, and Sergei Bobrovsky every time I have to say it. Bobrovsky, gotta say it like that. I think they're gonna take it home, and I'm gonna be there, and so are you when they win at home ice. Hopefully it's at home. But I think they're gonna face Calgary, and I would love to see that Canadian team making it all the way again, even though we did see that really odd Montreal skit for a little bit, but we're not going to talk about that one. But yeah, Calgary and Florida's going to win.
I like it. I'm going to go with a lot of people's favorite. I'm going with the Avalanche.
You can't go wrong with that.
I think it's going to be Avalanche against the Lightning. The Lightning are going to make it back to the Stanley Cup final for the 3rd straight year.
Hot take, Luca.
So that's a bit of a hot take, but they're so good. I mean, they're going to have a chance. You know, they are the Lightning, that is. But at the end, I think the Avalanche, the best team, will win.
Fair enough, fair enough.
And that will conclude a very special edition of 3-Point Lines and Gambling on Hockey. Thank you so much to my co-hosts, Celine Trimarchi and Noor Zainab. I'm your host, Luca Rosano, signing off. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you all again in a live event near you.
Yes, thank you so much, guys. Thank you. That was amazing. Oh my God, some really hot takes there. Talking about curses, the occult. You gotta love it. We're gonna keep things moving right now. Our next show, you know it, it's a fan favorite. We have 3-Point Lines coming up, and the hosts of this show have had an insane couple of weeks. Some of them just recently got off a flight from Costa Rica and went straight to BMO Field. Unreal. They're tired, but they're here to bring it to you today live. I'm going to welcome up the hosts of Fast Money Football. Please welcome Albert Vartanian, Sara Poraria, James Sharman, and Mickelson. Hi, guys. Thanks for live streaming today. And for anyone just joining the live stream, we are celebrating here at Toronto's famous Rec Room, celebrating opening day with the Parleh, Canada's sports betting network. Come on up, guys.
Yeah, don't be shy. I can't be the only one up here.
Albert's lonely.
Oh, hey, everybody.
Enjoy, everyone.
Here we go. Your mic there. You got a mic? Everyone got a mic? All right, how about this? Fast Money Football Live.
Wow.
Live at the Rec Room.
We've made it now, Albert.
James, we've been doing our show for, I don't know, a few months now, and it's just been, boom, face to face. This is much different, much better.
You know what? Yeah, you're just thriving off the energy of the audience.
Yeah.
And, of course, the beer helps.
Yeah, the beer always helps.
Yeah, it does help.
Sarah, we were in Costa Rica covering the Canada game, and then back here covering them in Toronto against Jamaica. That experience was amazing.
Yeah, I wish we were still there.
It was great. Mikey Singh, once again joining us. So let's talk about Canada. Plus 275 to qualify out of their group. Belgium, Croatia, and Morocco. I think our expectations as fans is they're going to go there and they're going to go through. But I think if we look at it realistically, James, honestly, it's going to be quite difficult for them to even get a point.
Yes, it's funny. When I was, wearing my fanboy hat last week, and we're all so excited. Oh, wow, Canada and the World Cup. We could win this thing, right? And then over the weekend, I kind of sat down, I breathed a little bit, and I thought, you know what? Belgium. Oh, Christ, Belgium. That's not great. And then I thought, well, Morocco, still a pretty good team. African team, number 2 in Africa, decent. And Croatia's really old. We can beat, oh wait, it's Croatia, right? Can you imagine coming out of this World Cup thinking that Canada got points off Croatia? I mean, that would be staggering. It would be incredible. Not impossible, they're an older team, but a massive surprise. So I think, honestly, Albert, we should look at this World Cup, and like John Herdman said, just enjoy it, have a good time. We'll build towards 2026, but it's a football tournament, anything can happen, right? But let's be honest, it's for Canada to emerge in the group, a good team as it is, would be a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, you know what? And Herdman's emphasized that. He's like, we're there, let's enjoy our time there. Let's not fill the numbers, let's be competitive. But I think there's an understanding that this is going to take some time for this team to click and actually be at the level of some of these other teams. From what you've seen in Costa Rica and Jamaica firsthand, what do you think of Canada's chances trying to get out of that group?
I think I'm going to have to agree with James on this one. When we spoke last week, we were both very hyped, we were excited, we were in the World Cup, like you said, but I think Canada will be lucky to get a win out of this group. Even scoring, I think, is going to be really tricky. We are in a really tough group, and I think we have to remember that Morocco is a really good team. I know a lot of Canadians are kind of dismissing that. Oh yeah, we can probably take Morocco. Morocco gave Spain a run for their money in the 2018 World Cup, so let's not dismiss Hakimi and those boys.
Yeah, and I mean, you can't underestimate any of those teams. If you think about the midfield for Croatia, what do you have? Modric, Brozovic, and Kovacic? Those are 3 fantastic midfielders. Are Canadian fans kind of underestimating what they're getting into right now?
Albert, I think you're asking the wrong guy right now.
You follow the team pretty closely, so you would know.
James, you said you took your Canadian hat off. Now I think I'm still wearing mine and saying this, that why not Canada? Canada was ruled out from this position. No one expected Canada to finish first in CONCACAF World Cup qualifying. So I think they're kind of wearing that mentality on their sleeve where, why not Canada? Why can't it be us again to kind of surprise a few people? Hey, as you guys rightfully pointed out, we're talking about Belgium. We're talking about Kevin De Bruyne. We're talking about Luca Moderator, two of the best midfielders in the world, who are Canada are out to go past. But we don't know what Canada is against teams outside of the CONCACAF region.
Yeah.
And I think if anything, they're playing with house money right now. And that's a good position to be in. There's not pressure on them. The pressure will be on the other sides to go at Canada, break down their defenses. So I think Canada's expected not to do anything, and that's a great position to be in. So I say, why not Canada?
Yeah, there are some really good players on this Canadian team. I don't think we should forget that. But come Qatar, which is in November, quite some time from now, it's going to be in the middle of the season. Should we expect to see some new players maybe enter into Herdman's 11?
It's interesting because John Herdman's been saying from day one, he's going to stick with the guys that got him this far, the loyalty to these players, which is nice, Noor, and through qualifying, I understand that. But he can't ignore what we don't know about just yet, right? And he's got his tentacles all around the globe right now. He's talking to players in every league with a Canadian grandmother, Canadian grandfather's pet fish's pet dog, Connection, we'll take you, right? So it's going to be really interesting, the squad, looking forward. That being said, it's a pretty young squad, right? These guys are only going to get better as well, with the exception of Atiba and Stephen Vittoria, a couple of players. They're a very young squad that should be better. But it's so hard to judge this team now, given, like you mentioned, we've got half another season to kind of look forward to, right? Who knows what could happen between now and November next year? Injuries, teams, players emerging from nowhere, transfers. Where's John David playing, in November? Where's Carl Laren playing in November? Stefan Estacchio. So I think it really makes it exciting to follow this team. But, yeah, I'm with you. I really think that you can't ignore talent. And there will be some hard calls to be made and some broken hearts along the way. But listen, like you said there, Mikey, it is a tournament. Who knows? Anything can happen. And let's hope the good things do happen.
I mean, how concerning is it? We talked about this, Mikey, before we jumped on here. Canada hasn't faced any team outside the CONCACAF in quite some time. I mean, the two best teams they've probably faced recently is Mexico and the United States. So how do you even prepare yourself for that, considering there's probably not going to be that many friendlies with the Nations League? So how do they prepare for this?
Let me throw it back at you. How do you prepare for Canada?
Very true.
How do they come in, they as in European teams, teams from Africa, wherever, how do they measure themselves up against a team like Canada? Now, obviously, going back to your original question, Canada's going to get out there, and they're going to put themselves out there. I think they're one of the more appealing teams right now to go and schedule a friendly with, because I think a lot of these European teams, they want to know what Canada's all about. Let's face it, Canada is the story of World Cup qualifying this year. And I think any team out there wants to get a friendly in with Canada, and I think they're going to do that between now and the start of the World Cup. You're going to see a September window where they're probably going to catapult in, and they're going to see one in June, as John Herdman told us. So I think just that, mentally preparing for that, getting that actual, experience will go a long way. But at the same time, I think ignorance is kind of bliss in this, and I think I love that. I love that from Canada.
Yeah, and I think we need to understand too that some of these managers and these teams, they've seen Canada. Roberto Martinez talked at the draw, and he was mentioning the togetherness of the team. So they're well aware of what Canada does, Sarah. So I don't think there's going to be any surprises for Belgium and Croatia and Morocco in terms of what Canada can do.
Yeah, no, I think everyone's been watching everyone. There's a World Cup coming. Coaches are prepping, players are prepping. That's not new. But I do think, James touched on this, but I love Michael's energy, and, I love that he's playing, the other side of the coin. No one knows Canada, but the one thing is these other teams, Belgium, Croatia, Morocco, they have experience of playing tournament-style football, and that is a major, major factor, and it's going to play to their advantage. Canada is that new team. There's a lot of unknown, but I still think knowing how to play in a tournament, that's a whole different can of worms.
Yeah, I think the whole term youthful naivety is a really useful one for this team, that maybe they don't know what they're getting into, and that's a good thing. At the same time, John Herdman might tell the media, it's just to enjoy ourselves. We're going there for a party. In that room, already he has told those guys, fellas, we can get out of this group. We can go deep. We can be the story of this World Cup. That's what he does. He builds players up. He makes them, play above their station, right? Which I think is really exciting. So as much as there is youthful naivety, John Herdman's not saying that. He's saying, guys, let's go at Croatia. Let's go at Belgium. I mean, how much fun is that going to be, right? So honestly, I don't know what to expect. And like you said, Mikey, they haven't played anyone beyond CONCACAF, which is crazy if you think about it. It's because of COVID. We're going to see a change pretty soon. We'll see for the next window. Maybe a South American team come to Toronto, maybe a European team. So we'll get an idea, a gauge. But right now, we really don't know what to expect.
Yeah, we could maybe see an England who drew against the Americans, so we can maybe see them come here, or we go there to take on them in some sort of friendly. I wanted to ask you, you've been covering, obviously, Canadian soccer in this country for a long time.
Thanks.
And I know, I'm kind of dating you a bit.
The old bugger on stage here, right?
But for you, obviously, being in the media, you got to be neutral. You got to take off that fan hat, the Canadian hat. But what does this mean? If you take that hat off and you're just James Sharman, who's been covering this team, what does this mean to you? This whole thing that you've seen with Canada, this resurgence.
It means almost validation, right? I mean, I have been banging my head against the wall for a long time in this country, trying to get people to realize that it is the best game in the world. Sorry, hockey. There's a reason why it's a global game. Yeah. And now there's, people are realizing that. So what I say is, there's a lot of people out there saying, listen, it's our sport, how dare you find it now, and jump on it. No, jump on the bandwagon, right? It's a big bandwagon. Everyone's welcome. If you're a football person, be welcoming, be great hosts, educate, tell them how it's about, because once they're on, they won't leave. So I think it's a great opportunity for us in this country to become a soccer country. We're not there yet, but this World Cup absolutely can do that, and that's what I take away from this the most.
Yeah. And it's a different feeling, at least for me, when I was watching that draw. I know, Sara, your other team is Spain, but and I cover. I follow Portugal because half my family's from Portugal, and watching Canada's name come out of the draw felt different. It's like this is my homeland. This is my parents. So it hits home a little bit more. I mean, did you feel that way?
Don't know. She doesn't.
No?
Have you heard this? This is terrible, by the way.
I am not. No, when we spoke, James and I analyzed the draw last Friday, and he asked me, well, if Spain and Canada were to end up playing, who would you cheer for? And I told him it would be Spain. But that's simply because I grew up watching Spanish football. I grew up watching the Canadian women's team, and I cheer for the Canadian women's team in all matters when they compete. But Canadian men didn't have a good team. Their football was, in fact, really tragic. They weren't competing, and I was watching Spain since I was like 6. So there's a loyalty with them.
I think a lot of these new fans will forget there's been a lot of dark times with this Canadian national team, and you've covered it along the way. So maybe that's a good thing for these new bandwagon fans. And I hate calling them bandwagon fans. They're just Canadians who are aware of Canadian soccer right now. And I think we've talked about this before, but we just need to embrace it. Come on board and support this team as much as you can.
Well, the thing is, Albert, what were you giving them to support in the past?
No,
what
absolutely.
were you giving them to latch along to? It wasn't a World Cup run. It wasn't even a Gold Cup run, except for the 2000, of course. You asked them to support mediocrity. You asked them to support a program that was in shambles. So the quickest way to sort of revive all of this is by winning. And that's what John Herdman has done. He's brought this team together. And we can talk about his brotherhood, his culture, but the biggest thing is this team has gone out there and won. And they're now a team that Canadians, casual fans, let's call them, they can now support and buy into because they're relatable and they're fun to watch. And they have now a product out there that is really marketable. And I think that's just the biggest thing.
Yeah. And it's funny how winning cures everything, James.
It's a bit sad, though, isn't it, really? Us real fans.
Yeah.
We didn't enjoy the struggle, but we embraced it, and as far as we knew the good days would come, and when they come, boy, they'll be pretty amazing, won't they? I'm also an England fan, as you might know. I've been through some tough times with them too, and now they're emerging now as well. However, if England play Canada at the World Cup, I'm wearing a Canadian maple leaf on my chest,
Yeah.
That was
it's
a
true.
shot
I
at
think
you,
Hope so.
Sarah.
I would hope so. Are you kidding me? Do you think
got
it's
it.
coming
We all
home?
do. We all
Canada
do.
have a
No.
better chance than England winning. Come on.
I see a wager.
Wow.
A wager here.
I see a wager
think.
as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Canada
Who goes
kid-
further,
Off camera.
England or Canada?
The Canada shirt definitely jumps to the front of the line for all of us Canadians, at least. We're getting the hook from Jackie, so we got to go. Mickelson, Singh, Sara Poraria, James Sharman, Albert Vartanian. This has been Fast Money Football. See you soon.
Yes, thank you so much. Fast Money Football. The dream team, the quad of Fast Money Football, Albert Vartanian, Sara Poraria, Mickelson, and James Sharman. That's great. Thank you so much, guys. Hi, everybody. You're hearing me piped through the room again. My name is Jackie. I'm your MC tonight. Thank you so much. It's funny. Usually, I'm in these scenarios in the flattering light of evening. It's pretty bright outside, so I want to let you know there's a lot of food for you if you're hungry. All the food is being served right now to the left of the bar. I know it's easy to get distracted by the bar and held up and moored at the bar. But if you go a little bit past the bar, you'll find some snacks. So please enjoy those. And now we're going to have one of our first panels of the evening for you live here, streamed to the audience at home. But for you guys that are all here tonight too, it's going to be fantastic. I hope that he's here. I can't see him, but I mean, I'm not even that tall standing on the stage, so that could be that could be why. I'm looking to introduce the fabulous, the incomparable, the part of the pulse of the Parleh Canada Sports Betting Network. Where is our editor-in-chief, Steve McAllister? Oh my God! Ooh, you really snuck up on me there, Steve. Great to see you. Good to meet you. We're meeting in person right now. How are you?
Good. You?
Yeah, very good, very good. I'm going to let you introduce your panel, but we've got a treat. It's going to be the Insider's Perspective panel, so I'll let you introduce your panelists and let her in.
Thanks, Jackie. If I can just take a second on behalf of our partners, our founder Mark Silver, Gavin Roth, Kevin Kennedy, Jonah Morris, and I'm missing somebody. I'm missing one person. Who am I missing? Mike Day, thank you. Mike Day. We have some of our advisors here today. We have investors. Can't thank everybody enough for helping us over the past 12 months getting Parleh Media Group up and running. It's a really exciting day, not only for our business, but for the industry, and we've all seen that with the flurry of news today. So really appreciate everybody coming out. I know there's a whole lot of parties tonight, so I appreciate you making the Parleh party your first stop, okay? Thanks again. Have a great time. We're going to start a series of panels beginning with Troy Ross and Will Hill. We're going to do panels for about the next 45 minutes, but please, we'll have the music going. Have a drink, have some food, and just enjoy yourselves, okay? Thank you. Free drinks for the Parleh peeps, I hope. Kevin better be springing. Right? That's me too. Good, you? Too.
Just grab the nearest mic.
Yes, grab the nearest mic.
Are they hot?
Jackie.
Okay.
Jackie, around one? I got supposed to be using this mic. Hopefully this mic's working. So what they're doing is we're live streaming the actual event, so it doesn't interfere with the party, but we're live streaming this on YouTube, so if you won't hear the noise and going. So let's get going here. Listen, welcome Troy, welcome Will. This is great to have you two guys on, and if you don't know Troy Ross is the president of TRM Public Affairs. Been around gaming essentially since 1995. And been at the forefront of what's gone on with this move, or I don't even know if you call it a move, I guess, this slow boat to China, very slow. As we say,
very slow, yes.
Regulated betting in this country. And Will Hill, who's kind of done a whole bunch of different things. We go back to your days with the Toronto Blue Jays, Will. Like myself, have worked in media at the regional and national level, and then spent more than a decade at OLG as kind of a right-hand man for Paul Godfrey and also Stephen Rigby. And so really appreciate you guys joining us today here and really giving us a kind of an insider's look at the industry. We're going to be doing a lot of sports betting today, but we thought it was really important to talk about the important side of regulation and how we got to this point. Maybe Troy, I'll just start with you and what does today, what's all this mean today, where we are today in this industry, and what regulation means in the province?
Well, I think there's a couple of things that are important context pieces to understand, Steve. The reality is regulation of online, the regulation of any casino, whether it's online or terrestrial, in every other country in the world, they're private sector operated and the governments regulate. That's the case in the United States, it's the case all across Europe, but the reality is that's not the case in Canada. And the reason for that is we have this Byzantine criminal code that requires that provincial governments conduct and manage gaming. What that has traditionally meant is that the provincial lottery corporations own the product, they own the customer, they own the casino, and they operate those properties. What has happened in Ontario is the government has reinterpreted what it means to conduct and manage gambling so that it no longer has to mean operate, it can now mean regulate. That is, as I said, commonplace everywhere else in the world, but it's revolutionary here in Canada. So it's a very exciting day.
Yeah, Will, do you hop into that?
Yeah, no, it's seismic, it's disruptive, it's taking what has been a standard business model and turning it on its head. As Troy has said, this is new and different for Canada. You essentially have a provincial government giving away a legislative monopoly over lawful gambling, which is a big money business. In all the years that I was at OLG, the agency stood as the largest source of non-tax revenue to the provincial government. In most pre-pandemic years, you're talking about $2.5 billion in a dividend return to the province. That's a lot of money for hospitals and healthcare. Now, we're actually likely going to see that number go up, albeit from a larger portfolio of private and one public operator. So, quite frankly, this is going to likely be a good thing. It's going to result and manifest in new job creation. It's going to result in economic development, and it's likely going to result in incremental revenue to the province for things like hospital and healthcare, and that's only a good thing.
Sorry, I want you to get into how we got here, because as we've talked in the Twitter spaces, and the three of us had a Zoom call on Friday afternoon. I mean, this hasn't been an easy road to get here, and you've been kind of in the middle of it right from the beginning.
This has been a 16-year odyssey, Steve, and the long story short is way back in 2006, the previous government introduced legislation that was going to attempt to prohibit all advertising, sponsorship, and promotion of online gaming companies. What they were trying to do was change the Consumer Protection Act and ban all access to any advertising. What happened was I got a call from a coalition of the largest online gaming operators and said, look, can you help us kill this bill? So naturally I took the work. After several months of campaigning, what we ended up with was an invitation from the minister to come in and negotiate a piece. And so the saw-off was, all right, we're going to allow for what they call .net advertising, which is any of the pay-to-play sites. So, .net, you can go on, play for fun, no winning, no gambling. But we were going to ban, or the government was going to ban the .com sites. So no pay-to-play sites could be advertised. And that was the labor piece that we negotiated, and ultimately that is the issue we found ourselves with still today. That issue has not been resolved. So I'm sure that will pop up from time to time, but that's where we netted out. As soon as we defeated the prohibition, we went back to work saying, look, this is only one of 10 provinces. You're going to fight these brush fires everywhere across the rest of the country. So the industry guys said, look, help us start to build political support to create a regulatory regime. And I suppose you can interpret it a couple of different ways. It's only taken 16 years to get there, and that's one province out of 10. But I'll take the W when I can get it.
Start somewhere, right? And Will, sitting in the OLG offices at the time, what were you thinking when you're seeing all this unfold and seeing Troy and knowing Troy was in all these meetings?
Our esteemed friend here describes a journey that begins back in 2006. My entry to commercial gambling came in 2010 when I moved over to the OLG with my former boss from the Blue Jays, Mr. Godfrey. And it was in my first year at OLG that I met Troy and was glad to take a meeting with him. And I'm listening to him speak about a tax and regulate concept, the idea of allowing others into what was essentially a public monopoly. And what he was saying made eminent amount of sense to me. It was a really smart idea that's propagated and manifested over in the European Union, but has it over here. And so I'm listening to him, And of course, I'm smiling and nodding and accepting the logic and everything he's saying. But of course, part of me is thinking, yeah, but we have a monopoly, so why do I want to give that away? But I think it's a testament to your tenacity, your dedication, your commitment, that all these years later, what you saw back in 2006, it's taken 16 years, but you got there. So well done you, because, as I say right off the top, I think this amounts to a better gaming industry in Ontario. I think there'll be great synergies eventually between the digital realm and the land-based realm. That's not there yet, but it's coming. And when that work comes together and you have people concentrating on things like responsible gambling and on anti-money laundering and on serving the public good and providing consumer choice and consumer protections, this is only going to be a good thing. So, well done. It took you a decade and a half, took you long enough, but you got there. And I salute you for it.
I'm going to just go back to you again, Will, on this question. I think I have a pretty good idea what the answer is to this question, but is the rest of the country watching what's going on in Ontario?
100%. I mean, you have Canada's most populous, most affluent, and most sports-obsessed market embracing both online sports betting and online casino, something that none of the other provinces have done outside of their own crown agency. So they're going to look very closely at what Ontario does. And if it's a success in terms of those metrics that I mentioned earlier, job development, economic development, and incremental revenue to the government, then you're going to have people taking a closer look. That doesn't mean they're going to get closer to acceptance, because again, they're giving away what amounts to a lawful monopoly. But if there's enough empirical data from Ontario, and I think there will be, showing that this is actually a good thing, well then there should likely be a wave that potentially could sweep across Canada and sweep up most of the provinces and the territories. Not all, mind you, but most, I would say.
Troy?
This is where my good friend Will and I are going to depart company a little bit. I think the fact that Ontario has launched, and I think you're right, Ontario will be very successful. I think Ontario is going to earn lots of money. But I don't see a solution on the horizon for the other 9 provinces for at least 3 to 5 years, minimum. I think what is going to happen is those other jurisdictions, even if there's political support, and remember, we had political support, we had the support of the regulator, we had all kinds of buy-in in Ontario. Right now, there's no evidence that there's any appetite in these other provinces. Even if there is, and when there is, I think the incumbent operators are going to do everything they can to run interference on this, and they've got a lot of cards to play, and I think it'll be a very long time in some jurisdictions, unfortunately.
The one thing I would say to add to all of this is what you have to remember is Canadian commercial gambling is enabled by federal legislation, but operated under provincial authority. So each province is going to be making its own choice for itself. There's no pan-national solution here. This is going to involve provincial lawmakers making decisions in the best interest of their people and their province. So it's not going to be like this. It's going to be, this province moves over, then this province, and it will take or months. This will be measured in years.
Right. Last question for both of you. Troy, I'll start with you. What should people be most excited about what we have here today in Ontario?
I guess from an operator perspective, if I was a terrestrial casino operator, I'd be thrilled, because for the past 20 years, I've wanted to offer something, but I've been prevented by doing so by my partner, the Ontario Lottery, who has said, no, if you're going to operate terrestrial casinos, you can't offer anything online. So this is a big win for them. For the sports betting companies, I think it's either existing gray market operators or new entrants in the marketplace. This is really good news as well, because it's legal clarity, at least in Ontario. And hopefully, I'm wrong, and hopefully we have legal clarity in the rest of the country earlier than 3 to 5 years.
Sorry.
Yep. Last word to you, Will.
Yeah, what I would say is if we're looking strictly at the sports betting side of things as opposed to the online casino side, what you have to understand about the gaming industry today is people, young people under the age of 35, aren't buying lottery tickets or aren't as willing to sit in front of a slot machine as their parents and their grandparents before them. What they are prepared to do is play on their phones. And what they do like is sports. So when you can actually give them something that actually introduces them in a very benign and fun and entertaining way to the gambling world, well, then you can actually learn about them as a customer, engage in customer segmentation, sales and marketing efforts, and migrate them to other products that actually benefit the broader gambling industry. So sports as an acquisition tool to then migrate customers to new and different products that benefit you as a business and the province by taking proceeds from the operation.
Great. Listen, guys, this is great. Really appreciate you both coming out today. For the people watching the live stream, Will's a regular on our Twitter Spaces every Thursday afternoon at 2 o'clock. Troy, I know you hop on once in a while. And if you want to learn more about this industry, really suggest that you join us on Twitter Spaces. And guys, like I said, I can't thank you enough for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. It's been a joy being a part of the Parleh.
Hello. Hi, me again, everybody. We've got another panel coming up so I just wanted to let you know there's also a merch stand once you go past the bar, past the food, and then your clothes are too tight from the sliders. Go and grab a bigger t-shirt. Come on, it's a win-win. Drinks, food, fashion. We've got another panel coming up, and this is going to be some of the real heavy hitters of the Parleh, my boss. We've got the creators panel coming up for you now. I'm gonna welcome Kevin Kennedy, Executive-in-Chief of the Parleh Canada Sports Betting Network. Please welcome Kevin Kennedy and all of his guys. Connor Clarence, head of sports. Twitter. Sorry, I thought Kevin was gonna do this, but I guess he's my boss, so he shouldn't be doing my work. Please welcome Kevin. And is Connor Clarence here? Hi, Connor. Thanks for coming.
And Mike.
Take it away.
And Sam. Sam Nasrawi. Could Sam Nasrawi come to the principal's office, please? Sam Nasrawi.
Nice to meet you. Hi. How's it going, Sam? How are you? I know this fucking guy, so I'm not gonna say that. Oh, you guys got drinks? Yeah, give me a drink. I didn't shine my shoes. Sorry.
Your shoes are great. Don't worry about it.
Do I have to talk in a...
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, guys. So we're talking a little bit about content today. So before we get started, you guys want to introduce yourselves maybe as you'd like to be introduced, just for the folks that catching the live stream can get an idea. Start with yourself.
Sure. Mike Cormack, head of content for NorthStar Bets.
Kevin Kennedy, executive producer from the Parleh.
Will I get cheers? No, probably not. My name is Sam Nasrawi. I oversee content at Sportsnet.
Perfect. Thanks, gents. Okay, so I've got a couple questions for each of you, and then we can maybe do a couple scrambles at the end. So Mike, for you, at NorthStar, you've got the relationship with Torstar, obviously, and you've also got some great ambassador relationships in Chris Johnston and Rod Black. So as an entrant into sports betting, without the brand recognition of some of the other books entering the market, how are you differentiating your entrance into Ontario?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head with a couple of them there. Is, you know, we're a new brand. We don't have a history in the market. We don't have a history in sports betting. But Canadians, Ontario sports fans specifically, they know Chris, they know Rod, they know what they represent. Chris brings a lot of brand equity to us. He's trusted, he's authoritative. Rod is the same. And we plan to help or use Chris and Rod to introduce our brand to audiences, to connect with them, to engage with them on an ongoing basis. And we're planning to do things a little bit differently than a lot of folks in the market. And I think folks have already seen that through our content agreement with the Toronto Star and some of the sports betting content we've been pushing out there. And we're really excited to expand on that when we're live and we have an app and a site and we can show folks really how we want to be Ontario and Toronto focused.
Awesome. Kevin, the Parleh has carved out an incredible niche of content creators with content for consumers, betting advice, and a slew of just different things across the market. You've also built a valuable newsletter for people like myself that want to know more about the industry. So now with legalization live, what's changing, if anything, for you? Or what's next on the docket as you think about content?
Well, for us, it'll be a lot of fun to actually tell people where we're getting our lines from and our odds from and where to take our advice and what to do, right? It was a bit random. So I think, for us, it's just, we're all about demystifying sports betting. Taking away the stigma, making it fun, making it digestible. So I think now there was a little bit of hesitation around, okay, we're asking them to make a bet or learn how to bet, but where? And now we can tell them where and trust that source and really have a call to action, finally.
Great. Now, Sam, working on, obviously, the iconic Sportsnet brand, you're inevitably reaching more than just sports bettors. A whole subset of the fans of the content for your fans are, as what I'm sure most books would refer to, potential bettors. How are you approaching content creation in a way that attracts fans that are not yet betting, while also not alienating those that maybe want more of a traditional experience?
Sure. We're taking a mindful approach. And the approach is, with Cabby coming on board, it's all thinking about we're not talking at the fans, we're bringing them in. We're also not going too hardcore with our betting content. I think it's really important to focus our content on the casual fan. I'm lucky at Sportsnet, we have the opportunity to get research, and the Insights team's done a lot of work on what the market looks like here, what the market looks like in the States, and what the market looks like in Europe. And we looked at all those things and we said, we're very early in the stages, so along the lines of what you were talking about, it's all about making it fun, it's all about bringing the fans into the trenches, and we rise together, we fall together. But we have a very robust also social strategy because we know that the casual bettor is a younger bettor. So we're making sure that there's a real focus on that. And then from our TV content, we're not, it's not taking over our broadcast. We're doing a 2 to 3 minute integration in our pregame, again, very light, and then maybe a quick little update. So we're slowly, I would call it phase one of what I would think are going to be a lot of phases in the betting environment.
I think that's something we can all speak to. What we've seen as sports betting today versus what we see in 6 months' time versus what we see in a year, 5 years' time, that can be an incredibly different thing, and I think something we're all excited to see. Awesome. Okay, open to everyone here. So the market for attracting users is going to be incredibly competitive in Ontario. And attracting users will likely be garnered by the content you create, offers, marketing, and a slick product. The content you build with your partners are also going to be a key reason why someone stays with a specific book. How are you thinking about your content as a way to continually engage users and sort of, for lack of a better expression, keep them hooked to a specific book or specific content stream?
I'll go first, and I think your product has to be strong. It has to be user-friendly, so we're spending a lot of time on that, obviously. But also we want to create some habits in terms of people wanting to read the content and have some predictability and knowing what kind of formats and features they can expect on a regular basis. I used to work with Sam at Sportsnet, and I know how sports fans consume content online, and it's sports that has great products, and we're trying to be at the intersection of sports content and sports betting content, and we think going back to Chris and Rod, and we believe good content is going to attract sports bettors, So not just betting content, but Chris's NHL content. And if sports bettors know that they can find Chris Johnson inside of our website, our app, and even folks who may not necessarily want to be interested in sports betting at first, but they can come to read Chris and then be exposed to educational pieces on sports betting, or maybe over time they're tempted to wager for the first time because they've been visiting our site and they're curious about what other products we have there. We think that's going to help us in the long term. And as Sam said, there's going to be many phases in this evolution. We're going to learn a lot, but we're really excited about the team we have in place and what we can show users once we're live.
Perfect. Kevin?
Yeah, so the thing with us is that we don't have any data on our audience. We don't really have any data, right? We have about 1 year of data. And so I don't really think about the audience like that much, to be honest, because I don't really know them. So until I get enough data to let me use that, I think about making like the best shit that we can make every single day. And I try to just empower our creators, because otherwise you're just chasing, right? You're chasing a trend. Everyone's what are the trends? And I start talking about TikTok, I sound like a fucking what, you know what I mean? Let's hire people that are in it, that are working there, and let them show me what they want, because they're the customer, they're the audience, they're everything, right? So I'm actually just a facilitator trying to learn and trying to just let them be themselves, and I think we'll win that way. And that's my strategy, at least, yeah.
Amazing. Sam, yourself?
Yeah, for us, it's a holistic approach. So, for example, on our Wednesday night hockey and our Saturday night hockey, you're going to see Cabby, who's going to bring that entertainment, that like good vibes only, and then we're going to have Andy McNeil from VSiN join him on the panel. And the whole point is you're bringing that expertise and that entertainment. So there's that like balance. We're also on social. We're bringing a bunch of creators. They're called the Squad, and there's a spectrum of bettors on the Squad. There's the really hardcore bettor, and there's the novice. So, our approach is because it's Sportsnet, and we're hitting a larger audience. We have to be mindful about reaching. So not only is it we're thinking about the tone, we're also thinking about the platforms, but we're also thinking about the content that lives on those platforms and how we're building that content specifically for those platforms. So what happens on TikTok is not what's going to happen on Instagram. And by the way, we're not on Facebook.
Great news. Great news, I guess, for me on the Twitter side. No, all jokes aside, that's super empowering. I think talking about empowering content creators, differentiating your strategy for every single platform, all very valuable stuff. And also that education piece. When we look at the average Ontarian sports bettor, this is still new to them. Then for a lot of people, there's an education gap. Then your content is going to be what bridges that gap for a lot of users. So that's the questions I had for you today. That's super helpful. Thanks for your time. If there's anything else you wanted to share, we can kick it over to you. But
I thought this was going to be a lot more painful. It was actually okay.
It was smooth. It was
good.
smooth. Thank you.
We got a future in this biz.
Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Fantastic. That was easy. I was sweating all goddamn day. Thank you for everything.
All right. That was our final panel for the time being, and now we have got a live show coming up for you right now. You guys, they don't even need any introduction. You know exactly who I'm about to bring to the stage. We have a live sports betting show with, Sharp Edge Picks and Jorey Middlestadt. Please come up to the stage, guys. Welcome. Oh, look at that. You got some fans.
Seats?
Oh, no, whatever you want. Whatever's your favorite. Good to see you. Great to see you in person.
Yes,
Hi,
Zach.
everybody.
How are you?
Jackie. Nice to
How are
meet you,
you?
Harley. Take it away, and I'll flash you guys with my phone, and then wrap up in a couple.
We're going to do 10 and 15,
Okay, great. I'll
whatever.
stay
So,
close.
yeah. Okay. All right.
You got your notes?
Yeah.
We just go?
So, hello everybody. I'm going to start this impromptu version of the program the same way I do the actual podcast, which is greetings. Or is it welcome?
Hi, everybody.
Greetings, welcome, sharp squares and newbies. It's an impromptu edition of the Parleh Sports Betting Show. I'm Jorey Middlestadt. The other bald guy is Harley Redlick. He's the real professional up here, at least when it comes to sports betting. Good day? It's an exciting day.
It's an exciting day. A lot of hours spent accumulating bonuses, watching websites crash on me. A lot of swearing on Twitter, a lot of swearing by, I'm sure, a lot of people in this room.
So the first question is, have you been banned by any sports books that have been operating for less than 24 hours?
So they don't ban me, they just limit me to $3 a bet. Bet365 somehow was allowed to use their old banning, and that translated over from gray market to white. So I got a very nice email that says, you're not allowed to cash out, you're not allowed to bet a lot. We reserve and restrict the right to basically not let you bet with us.
So they put really low limits on you?
Like, I don't think I could get $10 on the Leafs tonight.
Oh, shit. Well, they clearly haven't been paying attention to your bets the last 2 weeks on the show.
No. The last 2 weeks on the show have not been good. I hope nobody followed them. But
And I'm coming off a bad week myself. My tennis play was, it crapped the bed, to be honest.
That's okay. I got Kansas tonight, though, in March Madness.
Well, let's start there, because it's not only a big night here in Ontario with the launch of legal single sports wagering, which is exciting for guys like you and I who've been doing this for a long time on the gray market. Shh, don't tell anybody. But the national championship game goes tonight. And before we handicap the game, we haven't even talked about it on the show, and you were kind of reluctant to reveal it. But word on the street is that you actually placed a bet before the tournament on one of tonight's participants in the men's championship game.
Correct. So we talked about it on the show a little bit. I thought the tournament selection committee did a horrible job. Kansas had a joke of a bracket. I thought Auburn was a fraud. 16-0 at home. The tournament's played at a neutral court. Providence was a joke of a 4 seed. I didn't like the Big Ten, Wisconsin and Iowa, the 3 and the 5 in the bracket. You add it all up, and Kansas was a good team playing with a dog's breakfast. So I had them at 9-1. Talking about gray market, the gray market is still alive in Ontario with Pinnacle Sports, still offering good prices, and I max bet them, so I'm standing to win about $6,500 on Kansas tonight.
And I know the answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway. There's no hedging, right?
There is no hedging. No, if you're a pro and you can't handle $6,000 swings, you're not a pro, you're a hack. So I'm comfortable to have it. Could I lock in $3,500 with North Carolina? Yes, they're paying about plus 160, plus 170. I like Kansas. I think North Carolina...
Well, hold that thought. I haven't given the line and the total yet.
Go for it.
So the line opened pretty much 4.5. Kansas is the favorite. Total opened around 154. That got bet down quickly. Where most books right now, at least when I looked about 2 hours ago before I came down here, about 151.5, 152. The spread is mostly around 4. There are some 4.5s, right?
Yeah, that's about right.
All right, so now go ahead and tell me who you like.
I'm happy with my Kansas. If I didn't have Kansas, I'd be betting Kansas tonight. North Carolina looked amazing, but that was their Super Bowl against Duke. Those guys gave it everything they got. Like that tall drink of water Manette. I mean, that dude is going to be, what, a gym teacher in a couple of years from now? And he held his own against a top 3 NBA draft pick in Banchero. That's it. They primed, they peaked. Good for them. They knocked off Coach K. They sent home Coach K with a loss to North Carolina in his last ever game. Kansas wins the championship. Everybody wins. Harley cashes his bet, and it's done.
how much stock do you put into the fact that, for those who don't know, it's by far the biggest rivalry in college basketball and arguably in all of college sports, if not sports in particular, talking about North Carolina and Duke.
Sure.
They do not like each other.
No.
It's not just a rivalry. Like, I don't know if you noticed the handshakes at the end of the Duke-North Carolina game.
Yeah, and Coach K's last
Coach
game
K's
of all
last
time.
game, and Hubert Davis was like, boom, and gone.
The kids walked off to the dressing room. Like, I mean, you bring 7-year-olds back and you don't accept that kind of behavior. Not cool by Duke. 4 of them are going to the NBA to make millions and millions of dollars a year. You got beat, shake hands, and move on with your life.
But so how much stock do you put in the fact that for North Carolina, like you called it their Super Bowl, in terms of how you relate it to the Final Four, I mean, this was their championship game in many respects, given the rivalry, given the stakes with Coach K's last game. So do you feel it'll be hard for North Carolina to get back up again, even though it is the championship
It's
game?
a national championship, and they got everything going on. And obviously, they want to win. But, I mean, I don't want to use the phrase letdown, but they're just in a tough spot. They're not as good as Kansas. They're not as talented as Kansas. I mean, they were 100-1 to win the tournament. Kansas was, most books, 7-1 to win the tournament. Kansas was a 1 seed. They won the Big 12. They won the Big 12 championship. They got 2 guys going in the NBA in the top first round, or for sure the top 50 in Braun and Agbaji. They're just the better team, and they're peaking without the crazy emotions going on, which is hard enough to manage for these kids.
I would agree. I think they're the better team. They're deeper. They're big along the front line, which will negate some of the advantages that North Carolina had in the Final Four game against Duke, in the Elite Eight, right, where they seemed to have the size advantage. And the other thing that I would say about Kansas is they have so many scoring options. If you've looked at their tournament games, I mean, every game a new guy has stepped up. Jabi, right, who couldn't miss from 3 in the semifinal game, he was terrible shooting all tournament long. I think he was shooting like 28% from 3, and then comes out and hits his first 5. But they're deeper. They go about 9 deep. They have guys off the bench, and Remy Martin can go win a game for you. So I just think they pose a lot of problems for the Tar Heels tonight. I think the one thing that the Tar Heels will be looking for is for Caleb Love to go off again, because one-on-one he is tough to cover.
Agreed, but Lightning has to strike twice, and Kansas can adjust, and they're the better team and should win it.
I agree. So using it as a sole single event tonight, you would lay the 4?
I would lay the 4 with Kansas, no question about it. I bet the money line, lay the 4. I'd even ladder them up if you want to get 2-1 and lay 7 or 8 points.
And I have to ask about the total. So any thoughts on the total?
No.
It's a pretty high total.
Pretty high total. You know what? They shot the lights out last game. They don't necessarily have to win that way. I mean, unders are generally better value bets. That's what I would do if I had to do something on the total.
And I will wrap it up by saying, let's hope we get a game as good as the Duke-North Carolina game. Because that's as good a college basketball game as you will see, start to finish, right? It was tight, lead changes, some tremendous individual performances. And I really enjoyed the game. I thought it was tremendous. I hope we get a game like that tonight.
Agreed.
All right, so you've been very busy today.
It's been a busy day. There's a lot of new online books. I did a lot of line shopping for us.
So there were, I believe, 13 books open for business today. A couple of them are multiple banners, like same principle, but they opened up a couple different books, like different brand names. So you were opening some accounts today, and you decided to take a look and focus on one particular area to line shop, which we always talk about on the podcast. So what were you looking at today?
So I just took a look at the Leafs futures to win the Cup. I wanted to see how different they were at some of the books. So the best odds on the Leafs to win the Cup are at FanDuel at 14-1. BetMGM offering them at 12-1. PointsBet is offering them at 12-1. The Score is offering them at 10-1. Bet365 is offering them at 9.5-1. Betway at 9-1, the OLG online at 9-1, and the OLG in-store at 8-1. So if you bet $100 on the Leafs, at FanDuel, you're going to get $500 more than at Betway or OLG online, and that's a lot. Now, the important note is, people, do not be lazy. You got a line shop, but don't assume FanDuel prices are always the best. For example, OLG is paying 16-1 on the Bruins to win the Cup, and FanDuel is only paying 14-1 on the Bruins to win the Cup. I'm not sure if it's a geography thing, if it's the risk managers, what's going on, but don't assume a book is offering the best prices across the board. If you don't have accounts at 6 or 7 books, you're giving up a lot of value, especially on the futures.
But that's a great example. We talk about this on the podcast all the time, that if you have the time to spend and it means something to you, do the work and line shop, because you just said you can bet the Leafs to win the Cup anywhere from 8.5-1 to 14-1. That's a massive difference.
Massive. You get 50%, even on futures takes. The future juice is usually 30-40%. So something is above water if you work it out or you arb it out. If, like you said, you have enough time or you want to dedicate, or just, like I said, do your $25 and $50 sign-up bonuses at 10 different sites. And even if you want to have fun and just bet futures, line shop across the board. I thought I got a good price at FanDuel. I got the Mariners at 20-1 to go to the World Series. And again, Pinnacle was only paying 15-1, so it's a pretty good price.
So line shopping, again, if you have the time and you want to make the effort, line shopping can be beneficial, especially if you find a discrepancy like you just described with the Leaf futures to win the Stanley Cup.
100%. Remember, every point in the NBA or college basketball comes in 4% of the time. So if you can ever get a -3.5 or a +4.5, the number 4 is coming in 4% of the time. If you're a 50-50 bettor, you're winning 54%. You're a pro.
Right. So before we say goodbye for the evening and go enjoy ourselves, we're in Toronto, so I'm sure there's a lot of Leaf fans here. You talked about the Leaf futures to win the Cup. Any thoughts on tonight's big game between the Leafs and the Lightning, where I looked before, and for the most part, the Leafs are about a +115, +120 dog.
Yeah. No real thoughts on the game besides that it's an important game as a Leafs fan. The reality is there's a good chance we're playing Tampa. I'd rather play games 1 and 7 right around the corner from us at Scotiabank Arena than I would in Tampa. So the Leafs are going to have, it's tough to play Tampa in the first round. That's a tough matchup for them. They'll be a dog, especially if Tampa has home ice, and I wouldn't want to be the Leafs getting bounced in the first round yet again, especially with the Raptors looking as good as they are. And
no question. Notwithstanding last night's Kyle Lowry-Lovin, which still resulted in a loss for the Raptors, but they still have a very good opportunity to claim either the 5 seed or the 6 seed and avoid the play-in game.
Yeah, Lowry also gave the love. Not only did he give the love to the Raptors fans, he gave the love to the Raptors fans on Miami TV. After the game, when he was talking to Miami radio and TV, he talked about the Raptors fans as being some of the best in the world. No doubt a little bit of a shot to the downtown poser Miami crowd also.
Yeah, they're a real front-running fan base down in South Florida. Trust me, I actually lived there for a while, and I can talk about it firsthand. Well, I hope you enjoyed it. This is pretty much a little snippet of what you'll hear each and every Friday on the Parleh Sports Betting Show. And we always love your feedback. Email us, questions@theparleh.com. Hit up either one of us on Twitter, @Jorey Middle or @SharpEdgePicks. And as always, we come to you across Canada's sports betting network, the Parleh. Enjoy, everyone, and enjoy the championship game and the Leafs and Lightning tonight.
Smile for the picture.
Oh, and I should also say, as I always do, for Harley, I'm Jorey. May all your picks be winners. And of course, ours too. Enjoy the evening, guys.
Enjoy. Go Kansas.
Thank you so much, guys. That was the Parleh Sports Betting Show live with Jorey Middlestadt and Harley Redlick. Thank you, guys. Back again. We're coming to the end of the live streams and panels tonight. Before I take off, I just want to say that this has been so much fun for me. I'm your MC. A lot better than a show I had earlier this week. I was doing a stand-up show, and a guy passed out cold in front of me in the audience. So this is a real treat compared to that. He overheated, so apparently he's an old DVD player. We have another special guest coming up. I'm so happy to introduce this next guest, and he's going to be leading a panel to round things out. Please welcome the fabulous host and ambassador of NorthStar Bets, Rod Black. Give it up for Rod Black, everybody. You can pick anyone you want that speaks to you.
Oh, okay. Hi, thank you. Hi, everybody. I was just walking around. I thought the Jays were playing tonight, and they're not, clearly. It's great to be here today. Parlez-vous, parlez-nous. Congratulations to the great folks at Parleh for what you're doing, and I see all of these people here today. It is a big night tonight. It's the NCAA Championship. You heard Jorey and the gang talk about that. Big game tonight. We got lots of hockey. This is a great week to get into the betting world as we are in Ontario. So congratulations to all of you. May your best bets win. I want to bring up another one of my colleagues at NorthStar now. Was a colleague at my former place, and one of the great writers, one of the great insiders, just a terrific guy. Chris Johnson is with us. Come on up, Chris. I'm not doing this by myself. And of course, this is the week. You can take that one, I guess, Chris. This is the week when we all say, hello, friends.
Hello, friends.
It's Masters Week. It is Masters Week, and so Chris is a hockey guy primarily, I guess.
Nowadays,
but you
for
were
sure.
a golf guy at one time too, before you grew that absolutely spectacular-looking beard.
Yeah, about 10 years covering the PGA Tour. So it was a good way to get into the industry at the time. In the heyday of Mike Weir, was a good time to be getting into the Canadian golf industry just because of what Mike meant. And I miss it, actually. It's the way the career went that I ended up being hockey full-time.
Yeah, I miss it too. We used to call so much golf in Canada. I was just talking to a friend about even the skins game that we used to do in Canada, and we're going to bring a guy who played in one of the skins games a few years ago up in a few moments via satellite as we get ready to talk Masters. But I want to ask you a little bit about, you and I are kind of going into this other world now with NorthStar, with the stars at NorthStar. I know I'm excited about this. I'm excited to be working alongside you and all the great people there and bringing content, deliverable content, inside stories as well, but that can help the betting public. How excited are you about NorthStar? I know you've been kind of there for a while now.
Yeah, I'm actually literally part of the furniture. Like they hired me. I think they thought they were going a little earlier. So it's great that it's coming to fruition. I think it's going to be huge. I mean, honestly, I'm not personally a big bettor, but everyone I know, like literally everybody, is into it so much. So I think it's going to be awesome.
So now that you've come across, I will tell you I'm a notorious bet. I bet on everything. I don't.
Oh yeah. Do you win much or?
No, I don't. But when I don't bet, I do actually make some really good predictions, sensible predictions. But I have champagne taste in beer pockets, if you know what I mean.
I'm following what you're putting down.
But I love prop bets. I love the fact that prop bets are coming alive now, and that we all can get involved in that. I mean, is that exciting to you too? Not only for hockey, but prop betting in golf, to me, is absolutely spectacular.
You can't lose, especially at a tournament like the Masters, where I feel like, I know you and I have both been there, but before I'd been there, you know the course. So if you're, say, what's this guy going to do on 11? Like, most golf fans know what 11 is. They know how hard that hole is. They know what 12 is. I mean,
and TV doesn't do it justice.
None of it, I don't think. I'm with you. And so I love that. I actually think in-game betting's great too, because hockey is still my bailiwick. There's so many comebacks in the games this year, so many 3-goal leads getting erased. I mean, when you're betting in-game, there's a chance there, I think, to really get some good odds.
Before we get to golf and the Masters, you're here. Let's get some inside from the insider. I know everybody here has one question on their mind. Why did Will Smith slap Chris Walker? No. Can the Toronto Maple Leafs finally, I'm not going to say win the Stanley Cup, can they finally win a playoff round? 18 years and counting.
Yes. Come on. I mean, I get the skepticism. I get why fans have been burned. It's like you touch the stove too many times. It scares you a little bit. But if you look at what they are as a team, I mean, they've got absolute shit goaltending for 2 months, and they're still playing at a 105-point pace. Now, I realize that's a huge if. That same goaltender or set of goaltenders could cost them the first round. But I look at it more that there's an opportunity there that if they get anything near average goaltending, I mean, it could be a special spring here in Toronto.
Do they need any more grit come playoff time, or will the grit just be elevated? I think Mark Giordano was a great acquisition at the deadline.
I don't think so, actually. I mean, look, they need players like Austin Matthews. They need those guys to fight through the shit they put up with in the playoffs, but I don't think they needed another tough guy. I mean, they went that road.
When I say grit, I mean like one of those shift disturbers.
Right.
The Darcy Tucker types. Last time.
Well, if we could clone Darcy and bring him back in 25-year-old form.
He could, baby.
I mean, that would be ideal.
Bunting has been great.
He's been awesome, and he draws a lot of penalties. He's a pain in the ass. You know, I do think this actually, look at it, I'm not giving anyone betting advice here. There's a lot of experts for that. Yeah. I would say this is the year they go in a playoff round.
I like the fact that you and I both can do the things that we couldn't do on TV. Swear.
I'm drinking a beer, too.
All right, and drink beer. All right, let's, and if we can just have your attention, I know the room's a little busy, but we want to be able to hear him, so just for a second. We do want to bring in live and direct from down south. He's actually in Florida. There he is, a guy who won on the PGA Tour, one of the great experts in our game, one of the great guys and great golfers. There is Ian Leggett. Hello, Lego.
Good to see you, Blackie. How you doing, buddy?
Good. I'm with Chris Johnston here, and you're with a room full of bettors and influencers and good people and good-looking people, too. I'm going to tell you, you would love it here, Lego. And by the way, you'd love it even more. 2 words that you love. Free bar.
Sorry, I missed that?
Free bar, man. It's a free bar.
Free bar. That's 2 words, by the way. Go ahead.
Hey, listen. Again, it's a little loud in here, but I want to get your take. It's Masters Week. You know what Augusta, Georgia's like. I think the big question everybody wants to know, I think I know the answer. Will Tiger Woods play this week?
Yes, that's my thinking. I don't think Tiger Woods has hopped on a plane. I don't think Tiger Woods flew all the way to Augusta, Georgia to go for a couple strolls around the golf course or hit some golf balls on the range at Augusta National with his buddies to just do that. He went there to prepare to play this week. And, you know, Blackie, there's athletes that play this game and any sport for that matter that defy the odds, and Tiger Woods is one of them. And I still have egg on my face from saying that he would never come back from that back surgery. So I'm not making a prediction on whether he's going to win or lose because I don't want to put egg on my face again because I think this guy's capable of anything.
Yeah, no ego on Lego. But I do want to ask you, Legs, he won a major on one leg before. There is a possibility he loves this golf course. You are tight with Tiger, too. You know this guy. I couldn't imagine him making the trip to Augusta just to go there for a dinner or to go there and watch. He is playing. He has to be playing.
Absolutely does. And, you know, Tiger Woods is all about preparation. You don't think that Tiger Woods is going to embarrass himself by showing up, walking 9 holes, if he wasn't prepared to do that and be prepared to make it around the golf course. So unless something drastic happens between now and Thursday, it's 100% he's playing golf because this guy does not play the game unprepared. Now, the preparation part of not playing in any tournaments since February of 2021, that's a different story. But from physical capability of being able to get around the golf course and the ability to hit a golf shot, Tiger Woods is there to actually win because that's the only thing he does. I'll tell you what, let me rephrase that. Tiger Woods doesn't play the game to win. Tiger Woods plays the game not to lose. And that's the motivation that's going to get him around this week.
Lego, what will be the biggest challenge, do you think? I mean, just not having played, obviously we don't know physically exactly what he's going through, but what'll be the hardest part about jumping into that event without having much of a tune-up and trying to compete?
Well, it's the competitiveness. I don't think whether you're Tiger Woods or you're Michael Jordan or you're Wayne Gretzky or whoever you are as being the greatest athletes to ever play the game, you need competition. You need repetitions under your belt, and he hasn't had any. Going out and playing with some of the guys, and I'm sure that he's been playing a lot of competitive golf with Justin Thomas and Brooks Kepka and guys down here in Florida over the last few weeks to be prepared. But there's a little difference between playing $100 Nassau and teeing it up in the major championship. So that's the big one. And then we're going to have to look at this because this story could be very Hogan-esque. We've laid a lot of comparisons to Tiger Woods over the years of him chasing down Jack Nicklaus. But, Tiger Woods is going to be aligned forever in history with another one of the greatest players that's ever played the game, and that being Ben Hogan. Now, Ben Hogan's car accident was dramatically more significant than this, but Ben Hogan's motivation to get back and play golf and continue to win and dominate the sport is exactly the reason why Tiger Woods is in Augusta this week, and no different than when Ben Hogan did the same thing after that tragic car accident.
I will tell you one thing. Ratings will be absolutely through the roof. If he makes it through the weekend, if he gets in, I don't discount the fact that he has a chance because he loves that course. Lego, you know that. Augusta is one of those courses for horses. If you've played well there before, you have a chance to win. Who do you like this week? And is it someone who has been there and done that before at Augusta National?
Well, I got a couple, actually, and one of them has not been there and done that before, and it hasn't been since 1979 that a rookie's won at Augusta, but, I like Sam Burns. Sam Burns has a lot of tools. He knows how to win. He's fearless. We saw that playoff at Innisbrook a couple of weeks ago, and I just think that he is taken himself to a different stratosphere in the game of golf. And you never know when someone's going to become a superstar in this game. Not everybody walks out there like Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson of the past, coming straight out of college and being superstars on the PGA Tour and immediately start winning. So it's taken Sam Burns a little bit of time to find his way on the PGA Tour, but he is definitely one. Interestingly enough, I'm finding it a little strange that nobody's talking a whole lot about Jon Rahm this week. So he's another guy that I think is semi-flying under the radar because he hasn't played a whole lot of golf as of late, and the golf that he has played has not been, Jon Rahm-like. So I think that those two guys, another guy that you can't discount that's showing a lot of great form as of late in coming back from an injury himself, is Brooks Kepka. Here's a crazy stat. Over the last 6 years, Brooks Kepka is 64 shots better in the major championship than the next best player that's played in those majors. So that just shows you the dominance that this guy's had on the PGA Tour and major championships. So it's going to be interesting to see how he plays. I like his form. And another guy, like I just said, a guy you never know when they're going to step out of shadows in the greatness is the guy who won the Players' Championship in Cam Smith. Here's a guy who's one of the best putters on the PGA Tour, and if you cannot putt the golf ball, you cannot win at Augusta National. There's only ever been one player that's ever won the Masters by not finishing in the top 10 putting, and that was Vijay Singh. So, I like those four guys as my picks this week at Augusta.
Lego, would be remiss if I didn't at least ask you, what do you think about the current state of Canadian golf, where we're at with so many now players on tour? Who impresses you? Where do you think things have gone since the days that you were out there playing?
Well, I think they're all impressive, to tell you the truth. I love that Adam Hadwin has gone ahead and completely revamped his golf swing. He's had 3 top 10s in a row now. I know he's not tipping it up this week, but that's a guy that, has really worked hard on his game. Limited, very limited. He is a guy that is missing the key weapon on the PGA Tour, and that is length, but he's got all the other pieces. He knows and understands his game. But the one guy that really is on a brink of becoming a top 10 player in the world, and he's playing this week, is Corey Connors, is ultimately one of my sleepers this week. So I think his missing link is putting. He hasn't finished in the top 100 on the PGA Tour in putting since he's been out there. If he can become a top 40 or 50 player in putting on the PGA Tour, he ranks third in greens in regulation. He ranks 6th in the all-round. He ranks top 10 in total driving distance. He has all of the pieces, except he's just got to become a bit better putter. And by the way, when you go from 104th on the tour in putting to 50th, it's not that big of a difference. But when you're talking about 1 and 1.5 putts around, that's 6 rounds a tournament. Corey Connors automatically becomes a top 10 player in the world. And there's no reason why, the way that he hits the golf ball, that if all of a sudden that putter shows up this week, that he can't be putting a green jacket on and joining Mike Weir at the end of Sunday.
I tell you, that's my pick, and it's only because I'm Canadian, and it'll look awfully good if Corey won. But I do want to ask you, Lego, about Corey. The fact that it took Mike Weir a while to get to that major, and he had some scar tissue in final rounds with big-name players. Corey has been there, hasn't been able to close at big championships, has won, but his ability to strike the golf ball on a second-shot golf course like Augusta, if he can get the putter going, I agree with you, there is a very good chance he could win.
Yeah, and he played well last year, by the way. Let's not forget about that. So he's got some experience. He's played there as an amateur. He's played multiple times. So, I mean, this is just about him being able to hold some putts and be able to get some confidence. I think for him, it's all about belief. He just needs to believe that he's a top 10 player in the world, because the way that he strikes the golf ball, I'll tell you, when he gets done a tournament, I can't remember who he was playing with a couple of weeks ago, and they made a comment in their post-round presser how impressive this guy is. So when the players on the PGA Tour are talking about a guy as a ball striker, you know he's good. I don't need to look at the stats to tell you that, because I've played enough with Corey over the time, and man, I've never seen anybody who hits it that straight and that solid all the time. And I just don't think, partially because he's Canadian, but partially because he hasn't been able to close when he's had some opportunities in the past. So he isn't getting the hype coming into this week. But I'm telling you right now, if you haven't got Corey Connors in your pool this week, you're making a big mistake.
Hitting the ball straight and solid has never been a problem for me, so never been associated with my game. Let me ask you this: beyond the obvious Tiger story, Ian, I mean, what to you stands out this week? What are you most interested in seeing beyond obviously what happens with Tiger Woods?
Other than Tiger, you mean?
I'm saying beyond that, outside of that, like what else do you catches your attention this week?
Well, I'm interested to see how Scottie Scheffler handles this world number one. I just want to see. I'm really hoping that this kid's got a serious chip on his shoulder, because everybody's looking at this thing going, how in the hell did Scottie Scheffler become world number one? And again, the world rankings have let it now. Is he the best player in the world right now over the way that he's played over the last couple months? Maybe. I mean, but there's no doubt that John Rahm, Dustin Johnson, Justin Thomas are more worthy of a world number one ranking than Scottie Scheffler is. So he's got a point to prove this week, and I'd like to see if he can prove it. I'm not saying that he has to win. I'd like to see him, a top 5 finish would prove a point that he's trying to validate everybody saying, how the heck did this guy get to world number one? I'm waiting for Rory McIlroy to close out the Slam. Way too much talent for a guy to not be able to have closed out that 4th major. He's, come close at Augusta before. So that's another one. And the last one I want to see is, the same thing with Brooks Kepka. I want to see Brooks Kepka win another major championship, 2 out of 4. Colin Morikawa is another guy that's out there searching for his 3rd of the 4th majors and 25 years of age. So let's see if he can pull it off too. So there's a lot of stories this week that we don't need Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods is just the cherry on top.
Yeah, they do say if Tiger Woods does play, all the other guys could play naked, and they're still not watching them. I don't know if that's true. But I want to see Xander Schauffele and Scottie Scheffler in the same group, only because I'm an announcer. And Schauffele and Scheffler shooting spectacularly would be a great alliteration coming down the stretch. But the other story, Lego, I think a couple. Bryson DeChambeau, the fact that the course could play fast this week, lots of sun. It's going to rain on Thursday, they say. I know what people say about DeChambeau, but he could make it like a Bubba Watson where you're just wedging into everything. And the other story I think is huge is Phil Mickelson is not at Augusta?
Yeah, I think the Bryson story is, I think the scientific experiment, I think potentially has run its course. And I think when we've seen people push their bodies like that, we've seen it happen with Tiger Woods. We've seen it happen with David Duval. We've seen it happen with Dustin Johnson. Now we're seeing it happen with a guy who's taken it to the extreme. Their body just breaks down. Unfortunately for him, it's breaking down very, very early. I think that chase for whatever he was searching for, the dominance at yardage control the entire game. Sure, he proved it at Winged Foot. But by the way, he didn't win the U.S. Open at Winged Foot by driving it 340 yards. He won at Winged Foot because he putted better than anyone else in the field that week. So the Phil Mickelson thing is very, very interesting to me. A couple things here. I think it's proving a fact here that when people talk about Phil Mickelson not being very well liked on tour, it's proving a point. I'm not seeing a lot of people coming to Phil Mickelson's rescue right now. Phil Mickelson has made a tragic error that is going to be documented in the sports media, every corner of every single classroom that's going to be going on, what not to do. So if anybody's looking for an example of what you don't do, you don't bite the hand that feeds you. And that's exactly what Phil Mickelson has done. The PGA Tour is a massive, massive machine. And he turned his back on them. Irrespective of whether you believe in the Saudi Golf League, I believe that I think it's a good add-on to what the PGA Tour has to offer. I think it's a great opportunity to see a different way that the game can be played. Let's see how this thing plays out. That's irrespective. You don't have to take my thoughts on that. My opinion on Phil Mickelson is he made a tragic mistake here, has yet to apologize the way that he should apologize, and the golf world's turned on him. And this is the reason why Phil Mickelson is going to be sitting on his couch with you and I watching what happens this weekend.
He's going to be sitting on my couch? Phil Mickelson. hey, Legs, before we go, thanks for being here with us today. I know you're so busy. I'm sure you got a margarita or something. You got to get back on a golf course. I say let's do this through the weekend. Let's go down to Augusta next year. Let's do the majors. Let's keep getting your opinions, get some more from you. But maybe you can just leave a final thought. You've played in major championships. I remember covering you where you were in contention at major championships like the U.S. Open. But Augusta, Georgia, maybe you can speak for all of us Canadians. It really is the first sign of spring, and there is no other golf tournament like it.
No, there isn't. Absolutely not. I think that the way that they've done that, and the thing I love about Augusta National is if you roll the clock back and you had that elitism perspective of the game, I love that Augusta National is trying their best to put a foot forward to improve the game of golf. You saw what happened this week with the Augusta National Women's, what they're doing there. The drive, chip, and putt is a junior golf major now. I can't wait to watch that on Sunday before the Masters start. And I think I'm a lot like other golf fans. So I love what Augusta National is doing. I don't know what they have up their sleeve for the future, but I know it's going to lend itself to growing the game of golf. And so for me personally, this has always been a week other than, Blackie, you got to get down here and get a little sun, buddy. You're looking kind of pale. But I think it's been fantastic that this has always been a Canadian opening to the golf season. And that you're right, there is no other place on earth. If you haven't had an opportunity to experience it, do everything you can to get there this week and just get on your hands and knees, touch the grass, smell the air, take it all in, because it is a very, very special place.
Yeah, especially after what we've gone through the last couple of years. Lego, thanks so much. Can't wait to see you. We'll see you through the weekend. We'll see you this summer when Ian Leggett, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, this guy gives so much back to the community. He has a tournament in Toronto called Stomp the Stigma, which aids in mental health initiatives and basically helps stop the stigma surrounding suicide. Lego, you are a champion, man. I love you. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the Masters.
Thanks, Blackie.
Ian Leggett, everybody.
That was awesome.
Thanks to Lego for coming. Enjoy the Masters, everybody, this weekend. Thanks for having us here. Thanks to the great folks at NorthStar Bets and the great people here at Parleh. Enjoy the night. Chris Johnson is buying everybody drinks. Just wanted to let you know. Thank you, CJ.
Thank you so much, everybody. Rod Black, Chris Johnson, give it up. Wow. That voice, 10 feet away, I let it wash over me. And from where I was sitting, both of these guys have such sparkling blue eyes as well. It was, what a treat. What a treat. And you know what? That wraps up the panels and the live shows with the Parleh opening day sports betting party. It's been a fantastic time. Thank you so much for coming. And don't forget, there's so much food still to have. Stick around, visit the bar. I guess, like Rod said, I guess there's an open tab on Chris. You guys have all been a fantastic crowd, and thank you. Stick around. The Leafs are playing soon. We got March Madness on the screens as well, so stick around in the rec room and enjoy yourself. Thank you so much.